Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report, and I'm here with Linda. And I've thought of something that I wanted to discuss. I wanted to get Linda's viewpoint on this.
Sounds good.
You know, Linda, you and I have just gone shopping, and we've looked at fishing tackle, and you go through this with me, and you see me all aglow as I look on that wall of the tackle shop and look at all these new lures. And what do you think this all? How do you feel about that?
Well, several things come to my mind. I like looking at the new things that you look at because invariably the shapes are different. Like at one of the shows, one of the vendors had scorpions, which I'd never thought about being something that would be a great lure for a fish, but they were intriguing because of the way they floated or acted in the water. They'd stand upright or whatever. It would just and one of the other things that I'm interested in are the textures. And some of your listeners, if they're anglers, will understand the concept of a marabou jig. And again, for someone who doesn't fish but is fascinated with textures, these things are so interesting because they're all furry. And they're just, I know when they're wet in the water, they look different. You've described what they look like, but for me, the texture of the furriness, if you can, be careful with the hook, but the furriness of that marabou is just so interesting.
Okay, well, let's take that a step further to what I see when I look up on the shelf. I said to you the last time we went in the shop, I said, wow, there's a lot of new things here that they didn't have last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you must look at the wall and think, well, what's he seeing now? My gosh. But, when you talk about marabou, whenever I see jigs that are made of marabou, because any old-time bass fisherman is going to tell you that marabou jigs are just fantastic in the water. The fish can't resist them. And so when I see marabou, you know what? You say, I know what it looks like in the water. Well, I don't know what the fish is seeing. The fish is seeing something different than my brain's telling me,
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about a scorpion and what they look like. And, well, why would a fish want to eat something that's so historically and notoriously famous for being poison?
But do they know that?
Of course they don't.
No.
And who knows if they're poison to them?
Exactly. But the other part of that is in our northern waters, scorpions wouldn't be found.
Well, in our northern lands, let's hope that scorpions won't be found.
Very, very true.
So why would a fish... The whole premise is they see something like that with its tail coiled up.
Mm-hmm.
It looks just like a crayfish or a hellgrammite that they've been used to eating.
Right.
But this one is really active. And so it might stimulate some kind of reaction in the fish as I'm going to show that thing who's boss or something like that. And they just want to kill it and eat it.
Sure. And you and I have talked about previously about what would attract a fish. Evidently it's color or it's a noise that would sort of irritate them to strike. The spoon, when you use spoons, the flash would cause a fish to strike. So apparently it's simply something that causes the fish to become attentive and to strike, whether it's to protect a bed if they're on a bed, or if it's because it just irritates them when they're in the water, the noise of a rattle in a lure, and they feel compelled to strike. And that's what you're after anyway, right?
Yeah. So we're always trying to, when you go in a store, I see all these lures. What I'm looking for is this special, I'm trying to think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory now, getting that special, I can't remember exactly, but that's what I'm looking for, that special golden ticket that is going to be, everything to me, that I get this lure and the fish can't resist it. I have found the golden secret to fishing.
Yeah.
This is what goes through my mind as I'm looking at these things on the wall. And my first thought is, okay, how am I going to use this in the water? How am I going to use this before I buy anything? That's what I have to figure out. Am I going to be able to take this and make it look like something in the water? So that's what that's all about.
So do you think that it's through trial and error, or do you know instinctively that it's something that will work for you?
Well, the instinctive part goes by relating in my brain about history, about what I've gone through when I've gone fishing. And does this look like something similar to something else that I might have put in the water that the fish couldn't resist? You know, all those thoughts go through you, and that's what's going on. I'm trying to figure out those things, and so you don't know, but you got to trust your instincts. But your instincts, I think, are based on history and memory. You know, but it's as much fun for me to go and pick out new lures sometimes as it is to actually be out there fishing.
And so when people come to the booth and you tell them about what you think might work because they ask you that question, invariably they'll have to use it a couple of times and figure out how it will work for them.
Yeah, anybody has to do that. So I guess what I was really trying to come to is what you must think when you see the fascination that goes through me as I look at all those lures on the wall and try to figure out what's going to work.
Well, my immediate thought is Don will know how to make it work, because he'll
You give me way too much credit.
Well, you'll fiddle with it. You'll tie it on your line. You'll go out. There'll be trial and error. But when you return and I see that glow on your face, I know you've had a good day of fishing.
Well, folks, let's wish for good days of fishing. Until next time, this is Don and Linda with the North Country Fishing Report.